All right, we're live again for another episode of Inside the Mind of. We're now at episode, this is 21. 21, episode 21 already. My name is 𝐊𝐿𝐿𝐿 and we're here to talk about conversational hypnosis. Okay, this guest that we have here right now is actually my mentor. He trained me in regards to this topic that we have right now, conversational hypnosis, and would love to talk about lots of stuff here to share with you, for you to understand how it could help you, okay, in your day-to-day life. Okay, let's welcome my mentor, Karsten Kushner. Karsten.
Hi, Ken. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's awesome. Always awesome, man. I mean, the last time that we've actually talked was like about 2 years ago.
I think at least, yeah. We
Yeah,
were
I think.
in Manila.
Yeah. So yeah, let me just check if we're live also on your end. Okay, just give me 1 second.
Can you check that for me, please? You're
Yeah, I
probably
am.
much
I
better
am. I
technologically.
am. It's not yet. It's not yet online on your end. Yeah, if you
It's
have it,
not.
it's not. It's
Can
not.
I clicked add to timeline.
Yeah. Have you
Did
clicked?
that help? Is
Yeah.
it? I
Just
clicked it.
just give
Is it
me
online
just
now?
give me 1 second. Okay, guys. Just we're still. Yeah, it's live now. Perfect.
I think it's live now. Yes. All right.
Yes,
Awesome.
it's working right now. Okay. So yeah, we're here to talk about, just to give an intro to our friends watching. I mean, we're here to talk about conversational hypnosis. We're also going to talk about topics in regards to self hypnosis, self talk. I mean, if you have a lots of self talk in regards to I can't do this. In Tagalog, bobo ka, hindi bobo ako, or tanga ka, or you have lots of things that you say to yourself negatively. We'll probably talk about something that could help you with that. Okay, and we're talking one of my favorite topics, mind bending language. That's really fun to talk about.
It
Really.
is mind bending.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. It is mind bending. So, in regards to our guest right now, Karsten, could you tell our audience, tell us something about yourself and what you're passionate about?
All right. Well, there are
Yeah.
lots of things about me. So, well, I came to the Philippines a few years back to teach conversational hypnosis. I've studied conversational hypnosis for some time now, for well, probably over 15 years now, and I've practiced as a hypnotist. But the specialty is really the conversational type, which means how to bring about hypnosis and how to bring about change work while talking to somebody in a normal, relatively normal conversation,
Hmm.
without having to, do this whole pocket watch thing or the official close your eyes and go into trance thing. Rather, you just talk to somebody as you speak in a normal conversation, and they make these instant changes. So for you listening right now, if you were making an instant change, that could be because you're just listening in. And it's a very benign way of doing change work, yet it is also very profound. And I learned it from Igor Ledochowski, who's kind of to me, he's kind of the godfather of conversation hypnosis.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful teacher, and it changed my life because I had learned a lot about NLP, change work. I've done hypnosis courses in my life, and it all kind of worked for me, but I couldn't pinpoint what was working. So I was just kind of in the dark, trying to find a way out and trying to find a way to improve myself, or to improve my personality, to improve my life and the way I perceive life, and the way I enjoy life. I was just kind of in the dark about it, and some things worked, some things didn't. And then conversational hypnosis was really the thing where I found a path that was guiding me, where I could say, well, this is really working. It's no, sorry for the French, no bullshit. It is actually working, right? So that's the French technical term for, what it is. So this is actually working for me, and it changed my life.
Hmm.
And people came to me to also benefit, well, they wanted to be coached, and I didn't think I was gonna do this professionally, but eventually I started coaching people, and then I thought it would be it's so profound, I would love to teach it. So I asked Igor, my teacher, if I could teach it in German at first, and then I became part of his school, which is an international school, and then I taught in Singapore, which is where I met Strix, Toledo, and Kit, who you're familiar with. And then they invited me over to Manila, and I then started traveling the world teaching conversational hypnosis. And so that's kind of a little bit of about myself. If you'd like to know more, I'm happy to say more, but would like to give you a chance to say something.
Yeah, in regards to conversational hypnosis, it's for me, it's really I got called to it too. I mean, in regards to hypnosis, we could all agree that there are a lot of past what we see in the movies, and where you use a pendulum, you use a watch, and where you induce you put a person into trance, right? But in regards to conversational hypnosis, it's covert. That's what I liked about it. I mean, for people in sales, for people in public speaking, it's really an effective tool, or an advanced tool to help you communicate better, right? Yeah.
And if I may add that, it's covert, which doesn't mean it's something that's kind of, it's not black magic. It's something that good salespeople and I would even say good doctors, they use this all the time. They just don't know that they're using conversational hypnosis. So conversational hypnosis is really taking what works, taking the hypnotic elements of sales, for example, or of change work, taking the hypnotic elements and distinguishing them from what is the change work part and what is the hypnotic part in it. And the hypnosis is really just there to kind of get the mind to blank slate, get the mind into a kind of a meditative state where all kinds of new things are possible. And that's when the change work happens very quickly and very covertly. So you kind of slip in the change work covertly because you know when a hypnotic state is present in somebody else. Like right now, as you're talking, as you're looking at me, you're more focused, right? So you can already, well, all you need to do is catch those moments. That's right, catch those moments, and stuff is happening, right? I mean, you like to smile and laugh a lot anyway, but you know, you can really enjoy yourself in a conversation like that. And there's nothing, as I said, there's nothing black magic about it. It can be very covert because people don't spot it, but people don't spot when they're in a good sales conversation. It doesn't seem like a sale. It doesn't seem like there's somebody selling something to you, and it shouldn't seem that way, because it is selling really just means there's something, both sides are getting a plus, a surplus from it. Both sides are benefiting from it. Yeah. And that's really what conversational hypnosis is too. It's both sides are benefiting the same, at least the same amount. Well, at least the same amount is weird to say for both sides, but so the same amount, both sides will benefit. And that's so when we're talking about covert hypnosis, it's not, you know, selling something to somebody else who doesn't want that. It's actually selling something that they want and giving them, helping them making good, educated, and healthy choices in their lives.
Choices, yeah, I would agree with that. In regards to learning conversational hypnosis, Carsten, I mean, how long? I mean, before you become adept to it, do you think, how long should I study to become like you?
You probably have to relive my whole life in order to become me, and find the parents and probably relive my souls, like my parents' lives and all that. No, well, so okay, so if you're asking how do I become good at conversational hypnosis so I can use it, I think you can, at the minute you start, you are a conversational hypnotist. So when you start learning it, from the first minute, you will, like, for example, I teach a course that's a 6-day course, and I tell people Well, you don't have to know anything about hypnosis or anything about change work when you enter the course. And after 6 days, you have all the tools you need.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with
Right?
that. Yeah.
You agree? So there's everything in there. So, and even after the first day, if you remember, you're like, how did I learn that in one day? Is that even possible? So you become a hypnotist within one day. Is that even possible? Having said that, it's still a lifelong journey. I'm still learning to be a better conversational hypnotist
Yeah, me
on
too.
an everyday basis. And it's sometimes it even seems like, wow, I'm just starting right now. Right?
Mhm.
I've taught the conversational hypnosis for I think like 7 years now.
Mhm.
I think I started teaching in 2012. So for 7 years I've been teaching this stuff, but I'm learning new stuff every day. So I'm getting better. So there is no stopping really. There is no, well, after 5 years you're done kind of thing. But I would say that if you decide you want to start, you can very quickly become somebody who's very proficient in it. And then it's a matter of your own conviction. How convinced
Yeah.
are you? How much do you want to follow this path? How much fun are you generating from it? How much meaning are you generating from it? And I think you can find that within a day. And yeah, if you take a course with a good teacher and you start, or you find a book that you read about it and you're just really enthused about it, then within a day, I think you can lay out the foundations for becoming a good conversation hypnotist. And
Uh,
then it's a journey. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
I've been looking at the through the journey when I started learning from you.
Hmm.
And also Strix. I mean, Strix is a really, really good. He's a really good with his words also. So
Hmm.
I get to see the world differently because when I'm talking to people and then they say something really, really nice. I mean, I tend to, oh, that's nice. I'm gonna write it down because it's always learning. I mean, language can be. I adapt to language. I mean, when I'm talking to a different person, my language, my tonality, my posture changes every time, and it's really good that you see those things when you start to study conversational hypnosis. It's like you're you're going deeper into a rabbit hole and where you get to communicate better and see people communicate better with you.
That's right. Yeah, it's true. It is true that it's more about seeing the world differently. And from there you will start moving and acting differently, also thinking about yourself differently and talking to yourself differently.
Yeah.
Um, that's really the path that you start following. And so, yes, you can start learning conversational hypnosis, and it just takes 5 minutes to get really enthused about it. And then maybe it takes like half a year or so to kind of get to grips with it, where you
Yeah.
say, if you really follow that path, after half a year, you're like, oh, I can do this really well. But then it still takes maybe 5 years or so until you're at this point where it becomes second nature, where your
The way
mindset
of
and
life.
your personality has grown into, right? Your whole life has changed around it. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that's
How,
really what happened to me. Hmm.
yeah. In regards to how different is conversational hypnotherapy from hypnotherapy? Yeah.
That's a very good question. I would say it's just more of it's a more an approach that combines more of the techniques and principles of other therapeutic styles or therapeutic instruments. Um, so I would say the traditional hypnotherapy is just very much focused on the same thing. You put somebody into trance, you get some words from them that you then repeat back to them, or and then you just kind of motivate them by ingraining those words into their minds. So that's really the very traditional model of hypnotherapy. But well, Milton Erickson, a famous doctor in the United States, he's really changed that to a more conversational style, where he included all kinds of other facets of therapy into his hypnosis, into his hypnotic approach. And so sometimes he would put people into very deep trances. You would just really just do some suggesting, as in the traditional style, but sometimes he would just be talking to people because that was what was helpful in that moment for that person. They didn't need to go into trance for an hour and just have one word repeated. What they really needed is just have a good conversation. And he found the sticking points very quickly. And when you're becoming good with language, and I think that's where Erickson has really helped us develop a new way of speaking hypnotically, is asking the right questions and also saying the right things, so you can get to the sticking points of the client. And I think that's where conversational hypnosis really shines. You get to the sticking point, the blocks really quick, and then you resolve them really quick as well. So it's not so much put somebody in trance and see what happens. After a week, they come back. Well, some of it worked, some of it didn't. Then they come back again. You just kind of, I would say you collapse the timing of long-term therapy into much shorter periods. There is also something to say about longer-term therapies or longer-term coaching. If you know, because the brain, the nervous system does take some time to grow and to grow different pathways and make them stronger. So conversational hypnosis doesn't mean you just do one session and then you never see your client again. It's rather right. You could, but it's rather something, I would say, that brings about personality change on a much deeper level than the regular traditional hypnosis. Again, there are some traditional hypnotists that I think are very good, and there are some conversational hypnotists who are just not very trained yet. So the main thing is find somebody who's very good at what they're doing. But then conversational hypnosis is really just much more, I would say it's more sophisticated than, it's just more modern. It's just more what works today for people.
Yeah. In regards to, as you said, just one session, how many sessions does it take if for example, we're working with a case like, let's say depression? I mean, the client is clinically depressed. How many sessions do we have to work with a client? I mean, with the conversational hypnosis.
Okay, so let's be careful. Well, if somebody's clinically depressed, I mean, clinical depression, that's a big word. So that means there's something basically physiologically not working in their brain. So that's different from even severe or minor, middle, or severe depression.
Yeah, there's lots of terms for it.
So they're different types, right? So again, what I've learned from one of my teachers, she would say it takes 5 minutes to change somebody's mood. Like, you could get somebody who's even in a depressive state. He's like very not well put together. You could get them out within 5 minutes. It doesn't take long for a good conversation hypnotist. And the client is somewhat approachable, right? If they come to you, they usually are. So it would take me like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to really open them up and getting them into a different mood. Then I would say it takes about, for a big thing like depressive states, it takes about half a year to teach them tools to work through their issues, to work through their blocks, and to teach them tools so they can kind of start handling it themselves. So about half a year to a year, I would be working with somebody like that. From then on, it's still, as I said, it would still take a couple or 3 or 4 years for their personality to shift completely. So you wouldn't even recognize that they've ever been depressed, right? It's right. That might take 3, 4, 5 years, but that's normal, I think. But you can lay the groundwork within one session, and then have them. I mean, the main thing is they want to come back, and the main thing is they feel good after the session. The main thing is they feel that there is actually something shifting. It's not just talking about the past and just feeling even worse than before the session. it's actually the other way around. They feel, well, there's something happening here that I haven't encountered yet, that I didn't even think it's possible. So opening up possibilities can happen very quickly. And once you open up possibilities, you can now help them develop those possibilities. And that, I would say, that takes at least half a year.
Half a year. Wow. Yeah, that's why it's really
you asked
important.
me about the big thing, depression, right? So
yeah, depression. In regards to anxiety, we could work with it faster though. Yeah, we could work with it faster. Yeah, Robert Rubin is watching. Yeah, come back soon, Karsten, to Manila.
Thank you.
Come back soon, Meister.
Yeah,
We
looking
miss
forward
you.
to it.
Yeah, Rob. Karsten's coming by next year
Hi,
again.
Rob.
Yeah. There are lots of people watching right now. Yeah, guys, if you're watching right now, yeah, you could message here, I'm here, so that we could acknowledge your presence before we move on to our topics. Yeah, in regards to, of course, conversational hypnosis, and of course change words. I mean, that's really nice. So let me just acknowledge some of our guests here, some of our friends watching. My mom's watching. Hi, Mom.
Oh, wonderful. Hello, Kat's mom. Good to
Yeah.
get to know you. Yeah.
Hi, Arlene. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to the show. Ron, Mike, Helen, Sven, Jared, Romel, Zar, Chrismon. Yeah, Rob Rubin. What's up, brother? Nikki, Celine, Jean, Butch, Domeng. Yeah, there are lots of NLP practitioners watching right now. Nice, man.
That's really cool. I hope to all get to know you. I mean, some of you already know, which is wonderful.
Roy's here. Yeah. So in regards to in regards to NLP, that's really a something that we could talk about. I mean, NLP is also based on languaging. I mean, how similar is it to the conversational hypnosis?
Well, you could say that. I mean, I've talked about Milton Erickson as kind of the grandfather of the modern conversational hypnosis. And he's also, I mean, basically NLP stems mainly from the contact with him. So in a sense, the roots are the same. The thing with NLP is that it's been taught by so many different people, and there is no, well, there is obviously not really a regulation. So NLP has brought about some very useful techniques, and techniques that just really work well. And they are all really based on the principles as conversational hypnosis. So if you want to go a little deeper and really get behind the principles behind NLP, like what is NLP actually, why is it working, and how is it working?
Yeah.
And you want to go deeper into the hypnotic language behind NLP, and then conversational hypnosis will give you a more in-depth look, and also now you can really bring about your own NLP techniques. You don't need to rely on the techniques. The techniques really work well, but once I've learned conversational hypnosis, the NLP techniques I was then using worked like, oh, now they work. Even the NLP techniques that I didn't seem to be able to make work, all of a sudden they started working, because now I understood them. I knew the principles behind the techniques. And I think that's a big advantage. Then we don't have to, we don't have to guess, and we probably NLP practitioners know that, you work with somebody, you're like, okay, so I'll try this technique or this NLP framework, and let's see, hopefully it works. And then it kind of gets derailed, and then you don't know what to do, or you go to something else or so. And sometimes you just don't know why it doesn't quite work. So with conversational hypnosis, there is really no time where you say, I don't know why this doesn't work, because you always see the next step. You always see the next step, and you always see the path kind of in front of you. There's always something to hold on to where you go, okay, this is the way forward. Oh, and so everything that seems to go wrong is actually there to even enhance the outcome.
Yeah, enhance the outcome.
Right? Yeah. So anytime something seems to go wrong, you're like, oh, this is great, because now the outcome will be even better. So let's see how we can include this. So it's really, you include all the perceived failure and make the outcome even bigger. And I think that's where conversational hypnosis and NLP, you could say, differ a little bit. They're really stemming from the same root. But the way it's taught is different. And so now the way I'm teaching NLP is, of course, different, because I would always teach the conversation hypnosis roots first, because then NLP is much easier to grasp and much easier to understand.
Yeah, on my end, it was, I started as an NLP practitioner before I studied conversational hypnosis. And right, I could agree with you 100%, because it works hand in hand. I mean, with understanding the technique that I'm gonna use with NLP, I get to back it up with a strong foundation of languaging, and it works even better. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the body language part and all the unconscious communication, you just become very, very attuned to unconscious communication, and you know kind of how to handle things. You know how to get into rapport with somebody else, which means you're in harmony with them, and you understand them. You get to read them much more quickly. I remember when I first studied NLP, and then I used it. I was just reading comments, so I totally lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Right, NLP hypnosis. Anyway, that was a good start for this thread. So I think I was talking about when I first learned NLP. It was very difficult to learn how to read body language. It was like we would do all these practices to read body language, and then adjust ourselves to build rapport. But then it was just all very, am I reading right signs? I was constantly asking myself, is this the right thing I'm reading there? Or am I reading too much into it, too little into it? And then there were these people who were seeing things that I thought I couldn't see. Why are they seeing that? And maybe they're just picking it up, and all those questions, right? So NLP for me was like, it seems to be a cool thing, but half of it seemed a little bit made up, or maybe they're just, it was a little bit too fake for me at first. Until I learned conversational hypnosis, then I learned that this is really working, and this is what NLP is supposed to be like. Like, there's no, again, the French, no bullshit. There is no, it really works, and you really see strongly when somebody changes, when they change states. It's not about having this little tiny thing here, and then, you see the eye open up like that, and then you mind read into them. Now they've seen their father again, and they've made up, and now it's all resolved. It's not, you don't interpret it in that way. It's more, it is very intuitive, but it's also very clear. And then you ask questions: is this really what happened? Is the change really there? So I think through conversational hypnosis, you learn to read people very accurately, and you make sure that you're not just reading into them, but they are actually getting the change that they want. So there's more realness to it. There's more reality to it and then NLP for me changed to what's real too. And all the stuff that was kind of unreal, that kind of fell away. And I noticed that what was real about NLP, what was actually working about NLP, was even much more than I thought what would be possible. So
in regards to conversational hypnosis techniques, I mean, are there, where should I start? For example, I'm really a beginner. What would pull me in to actually study conversational hypnosis?
What would be a good starting point for conversational hypnosis?
Yeah.
Well,
because it's not just about languaging, right? I mean, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's see, we're teaching the conversation hypnosis professional hypnotherapy course, which is like a 6-day course. For some people, it seems like a long time, but I think it's actually very brief time, like where you can intensely study it. And I think it's a great starting point because you get to know where, you get to know what hypnosis is, how it works. And then you build on that the conversational skills and the conversation hypnosis skills and the change work techniques on top of that. So I think that's one of the best courses I've ever been taught. And so I love to teach that course as well. And I can only recommend it to anyone who wants to learn conversational hypnosis. I think that's, I mean, you can start with reading anything about Milton Erickson, I think, and watching videos on YouTube about him. That's a good starting point as well. But for me, I was coaching people and working as a coach, but when I went to take this course, the professional hypnotherapy, conversational hypnosis professional hypnotherapy course, short CHPH, when I took that course, everything changed right after that. So right after those 6 days, I talked to people differently. I had this client who wanted to work on a migraine, and she just wasn't committed. We would just be talking, and nothing really changed. And then right after the course, I would work with her, and she had to change the next session and was happy with it. So if you want a profound change in life, I think that's kind of the best course that I could recommend as a starting point. There are good resources out there. There's also the HTA, the Hypnosis Training Academy, which with 𝐿𝐴 𝐿𝐻𝑦𝐿 I've been taught by, and I'm teaching his courses. So that's also a very good point to start. But well, anything that feel free to check out my website or write me an email if you want specific resources, and I make it a point to write back in person to people who contact me. So if you would like specific resources, just tell me what you're interested in, and I will guide you a little bit.
Yeah, the website is hypnoticintent.com. Okay, you can check Carsten out there. He has a very, very nice picture up front on his landing page.
Nice picture of me with more hair.
Yeah. There's some questions here. Are we cool to answer some questions here from our guests? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, from Doc Kathy. Yeah, hi Kathy. Going back to severe depression, what is the recommended interval for covert hypnosis sessions? Interval.
In the intervals. Okay, so again, well, it depends a little bit on. We would probably be talking about intervals. It depends a little bit on how you. If you're severely depressed, there's probably not much that keeps you from regularly attending sessions because you're probably not busy with other things too much. So at first, I would recommend at least weekly sessions. Like you could even do 2 during the week. It depends a little bit on your state and how you feel. And if you have these, if you feel very down, having too many sessions might overwhelm you as well. So at first, like once a week is a pretty good interval for it. But I do give homework, or I give stuff to do in the meantime too. And there's always the connection, even during the days off where you don't have a session. There's kind of a sense that you have a connection and you're not alone. And I think that's very important for people who feel down or who feel very low in their energy as well, that they feel they have somebody by their side that guides them and that takes them by the hand and that shows them the possibilities that they're open. So at first weekly sessions, and then going into bi-weekly, and then maybe even once every 3 weeks or so. But at first, I would recommend once a week.
Yeah, hope that answers your question, Doc Kathy. Yeah, if you have any questions,
let me know if it does.
Feel free to message in. We have a special guest, Carsten. Dr. Strix Toledo is in the house.
Oh, hey. Hello.
What's up, Strix?
Hello,
Strix Toledo has joined. What's up? So another question just from Ryan Apostol. He's working with HR, I think. Yeah. Am I right? Yeah. Just wanted to ask: is there any successful Tourette case via hypnotherapy or conversational hypnosis, conversational
Um,
hypnotherapy?
okay, so well, I'm not an expert on Tourette, but I did actually have somebody who had a mild case of Tourette, and it was relatively easy working with him and really getting to getting him to a level where it was just not recognizable for anyone anymore. I would say, as far as I know about Tourette, it also has to do with stress. It has to do with trauma. So these are things that, yes, hypnotherapy and conversational hypnotherapy can work with.
Uh-huh.
But it can also be a longer thing, or it can also be maybe not a one session thing or two session things. And also depending, I mean, Tourette's, it's such there's a scale from, it's very, very minor to very big.
Very severe. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, very severe. But anything where you have an unconscious response, and Tourette is definitely an unconscious response. There is a behavior that's taking place which is totally unconsciously coming out all of a sudden, which like pent up energy that's kind of coming out in words or in movements, and that's definitely something that I would say hypnosis. I don't know if there are actually studies about it, but I'm pretty sure that there must be, that hypnosis can work very well with. I've only worked with a minor case so far, so I'm not a specialist on Tourette's per se. But again, as a hypnotist, you kind of become a specialist in
a lot of stuff.
In a lot of stuff, too. Yeah. So I would recommend trying it out, definitely.
Yeah. In regards to working with those stuff, do you look for the anchors, the holding patterns for the client, so that sometimes it gets hard to find the patterns that they're holding on to, that triggers the symptoms.
Well, yeah. And then that's the thing. It's very hard to find it consciously. It's very hard to find consciously what the underlying pattern is, because the underlying pattern is an unconscious pattern. So even if you see a conscious pattern going on, there is an unconscious pattern that's also that's kind of driving the whole thing. And the cool thing as a hypnotist, or if you become a hypnotist, or if you are a hypnotist, or especially a conversational one, you kind of let your own unconscious help the unconscious of the client make the pattern change, or make it conscious, so you can change it. So you don't have to. I know how hard it is to try and consciously get behind a pattern, but I teach it the other way around. You take yourself out of it consciously, and you bring kind of what's already unconscious, you bring that to the surface, and then the client's unconscious mind kind of resolves it all by itself. And you just kind of watch it, and then you point it out what's been resolved, and then it becomes conscious, and it's like, oh, we've consciously resolved this whole thing. It looks like we've done this conscious resolution. We haven't. It's just, I just let the unconscious mind, I just trigger the unconscious mind of my client, let them figure it out. They will do the change, and then the change becomes conscious, and then they're like, wow, you've done a miracle. No, I haven't, but you have, right? I've just kind of witnessed, and I've pointed out when the change happens, and that's kind of my job, to pinpoint when the change has happened, and then enhance the change and motivate the change to grow and become the new normal for the client. Does that make any sense?
It does make a lot of sense, because one thing that I'm still really applying up till now is, of course, H+. I mean, that's really it's a jargon for a lot of people, but of course, if you understand how to utilize it, it really helps a lot. I mean, go first principle. You become of course, you go into trance first as a hypnotist, so that you could easily help the person easily go into trance. Yeah, right. That's something. Yeah.
For the listeners and the viewers, the H+ means H is the hypnosis, and plus means there's a positive intent which I think is the most important thing, that you as a hypnotist have a positive intent. And when the client comes in, you help them also develop that positive intent for themselves. So now you're working as a team together, and all of a sudden, what one person can resolve. So as you as a hypnotist cannot resolve anything for the client if they're not positively intentioned. And they cannot resolve it for themselves if they don't trust that you have a positive intent. But if you both have this H+ intent and you help your client developing that, now miracles can start to happen, right?
Yeah, there are some new questions here from our friends. Nikki, how about autism? Are there successful cases via NLP, hypnotherapy, or convo
Well, again, same autism, same but different from Tourette's. Autism is a huge spectrum, so it's very difficult to say, you know, well, hypnosis or this type of hypnosis works for any type of autism. In general or in principle, I don't see why there would be one case where it wouldn't help. So I think it will always help. It's just how long would it take, to what degree, how good is the practitioner, how versed are they, also what else have you tried, and you know, how severe is the case of autism. So I would recommend trying it out or finding somebody that you trust. And if a little change is possible, then discuss with your therapist or the practitioner, discuss with them, okay, so if this is possible, what else could be possible? And they should tell you honestly what they think, what the outlook is. And if they're on board, if they're saying, well, this is what I can do for you, and they're actually fulfilling on their promise. Well, you can have a promise, but they're fulfilling out what they say, this is possible, and then you try it out and it actually works, well, then go ahead, do it. And if something doesn't work, the practitioner should say, you know, I might not be the right person, go to somebody else, or you know, because sometimes it's just the personality doesn't work. So I would say in principle it will work with autism as well, but try it out. And it of course it's all dependent on you and the practitioner, and on the severity of the case as well.
Yeah, that's one thing, Nikki, since you're asking in regards to autism. I mean, on the page, we get a lot of the messages in regards to different cases. So it's if there's a practitioner out there like hypnosis, hypnotherapy, NLP, that has a background with autism, that'd be nice. I mean, we could ask them, because it's in regards to autism, if the person is communicable, we could work with that. That's one thing. So if communication with the person with autism is really hard, you know, it becomes difficult on our end as therapists to work with the person. So we're probably gauging on that.
And on the other hand, you know, if even the way into the client or the person with autism, if the way in is hard, but you do find a little way in, you might do a lot of good. And I mean, it
starts from there.
right. So are they going to be like normal people? Well, who's normal, right? But you can help them probably be managing better in life, or help their parents or help their family who are taking care of them if it's a very severe case. And they you can help the whole family as a practitioner. You can help the family, the parents, to cope with the everyday life of helping somebody with autism. So I think there's a lot of value in it, seeking somebody else out that you trust, especially in conversation hypnosis. Yes, NLP as well. I mean, if they're versed in all kinds of areas. I mean, if they're just doing NLP for, you know, motivation stuff, that's probably not so helpful with autism. But if they're more versed in psychological difficulties, then I think it's a good way, or it's worth trying out and finding the right person for it. Just go and find people and see who you resonate with.
Mm-hmm. that resonate with. That's really something that's very important.
Yes.
That another question from Karen. She's a dentist. Is there any training for covert hypnosis and hypnoanalgesia?
Yeah.
Did I pronounce it right?
Well,
Hypnoanalgesia.
we
Yeah.
analgesia. Analgesia is the reduction of pain, or the so it's hypnotic pain reduction, basically, or hypnotic getting rid
Mhm.
of pain.
Yeah.
And well, I've just done a training in Germany to work with pain, and yeah, there are trainings like that. And well, when I teach the basic course, we don't directly address it, but there is a part in the training that can be very well used for analgesia and even anesthesia. And I've just had I just taught the Ericksonian hypnosis course in Dublin, and one of the students, he made it a point of, he went to the doctors, and he said, well, I'm making a point to not get a shot, and he got a root canal treatment, and he did it completely with hypnotic analgesia. And so it works. I mean, that's one place where hypnosis has been shown to work very, very well. And so it's, yeah, it's worthwhile learning.
Yeah, hope that answers your question, Karen. Yep, there is. You could attend trainings. There are trainings for that, especially with the knowledge of conversational hypnosis. You get to deliver better languaging with the understanding. So we'll also talk about mind bending language in a bit.
Yeah. So as the basis for mind bending language, there is a tool where you kind of shift, where you can learn to shift a certain sensations from one body part to another, which means you can also kind of get rid of a sensation in one body part and kind of really focus the attention on another one. And that's kind of can be used very well as the basis for analgesia. And then mind bending language is kind of a step up from that, if you want to talk about that. Or if I want to talk about it, I don't know if you want to ask.
I'm probably asking about it in a bit. Yeah, of course. Mind bending language is the shit, man. I mean, it's like the best thing ever. because it is because I was already amazed on how you could deliver specific words and provide different meanings into the minds of our friends, right? But understanding MBL, mind bending language, is like, whoa, there's another level to communication that I haven't thought about. Right? So yeah, let's talk about MBL. What is mind bending language?
As you said, it's another level of communication. It's really getting out of your used to and conditioned way of speaking, which means it's not only the conditioned way you're speaking to other people, but also you're speaking to yourself. And it's a different level of even thinking for yourself. So you start thinking in a different way. It's more you start thinking in a very intuitive way, and then you're using those intuitive pathways to communicate with somebody. And then change takes place within just seconds. And you find, for some reason, you find the right words for the right person at the right time in just no time, without even thinking about it. And with mind-bending language, it kind of happens that you talk to somebody and they tell you what you just said was just absolutely amazing. How did you know to say that? And sometimes I feel like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty cool what I just said. I have just no idea where it comes from. It comes from the training of mind-bending language. So it's a little bit hard to explain what mind.
We could demo. You could demo what a mind-bending language is.
Sure. Well, it's always, well, for mind-bending language, you always need some kind of sticking point or something that you would like to resolve, or you cannot really role play it, but you would have to do something real around it. So if there's anything you would like to resolve, or anything, any sticking point that you have, let me know.
Okay, so let's put in. Oh, hi, Job. Hi, Job. Job's watching right now. Hey, hi, what's up, bro? In regards to let's put in a problem. Let's say procrastination. Hey, that's one thing.
Right.
One thing, yeah.
So what's the problem about that? I think procrastination can be fun, can it not?
Dude, it's different because I'm saying the language, but yeah, it's in what?
What?
What? What? That's the effect of mind bending language.
Don't let go of the problem yet. Okay, so what's the problem around it that you have?
Okay. So mind bending, procrastination. I can't get stuff done.
You can't get stuff done. Okay, give me an example of when you couldn't, or when would you like to get more stuff done then?
When do I want to get more stuff done?
Yeah.
When it's near the deadline.
Yeah. Okay. So let me know a little bit. When give me one example of when that was a problem in the past.
Probably last. There was a workshop before, and then I was really catching up on a lot of tasks, but of course I procrastinated a lot, and then I just crammed everything on the last day.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were focusing on various tasks, and then on the last day you crammed it all in, and then you just made it happen at the last minute, right?
Yeah.
That's what you don't want anymore, right? So what would you like instead?
Get done earlier. I mean, get a lot of things done earlier so that I get more things done even on crunch time.
And so how are you different when you get things done earlier?
How am I different?
Yeah.
It's hitting me, man. I don't know. How am I different?
So how do you want to be?
It's hard to answer, Karsten.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, how does it feel when you're different?
It feels good, of course.
Like what?
There's a feeling to it that could push you further away. I mean, push you more forward. I mean, that feeling.
So it's a feeling that pushes you forward, right?
Yeah.
It is a feeling that pushes you forward.
It is, yeah.
Right. So how are you pushing that feeling forward now when you don't procrastinate?
Damn, man. The questions are getting harder and harder. I don't know. I'm lost, man. I'm lost. But how see, this is how mind-bending language is.
So what's going on? What are you feeling right now, by the way?
It's like, I don't know, man. It's like so clear. It's really blank inside, man. Right now.
It's black. It's
blank.
Clear black
it's
inside.
Blank. Yeah, it's blank and black.
Blank. It's black,
yeah,
or is it blank? It's blank.
Blank.
It is blank. For a mile, right? So
it is.
So there is a blank inside, right? So you probably haven't paid attention to your feet, as there is a blank in there. How do your feet feel?
It's flat on the ground.
It's flat on the ground, right?
It feels really earthly.
Good, right? So you probably have no idea why the feet feeling flat on the ground, what they have to do with procrastination or not procrastination or being pushed forward. Yet your feet do feel like you're flat on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you have no idea why your feet being flat on the ground have anything to do with procrastinating or not procrastinating, how does it feel to think about that situation when you prepare everything for a seminar and you have your feet flat on the ground, where before you would focus on a lot of stuff? Now it's just your feet. What's happening when you think about that?
You get to focus on one thing. And right now, the thing that we did, it gets me more focused right now. You see the tone of my voice instantly changed. Yeah.
Right.
Just focusing on my feet right now, flat on the ground, it changed a lot. Earlier, I was like, I was
all over the place, right?
All over the place in regards to the languaging, because I'm focusing as a client. I'm focusing on the questions, to answer the questions, and I'm like, it's hard to answer those questions. But right now, with my feet flat on the ground, I could look you in the eye and just, yeah, it makes you more
Right.
focused. Yeah.
That's right. So, right, it is hard when you're trying to answer a lot of questions, right? But
Yeah.
when you just focus on your feet on the ground, how easy is it to prepare for a seminar?
It becomes easier.
It's easier, right?
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah.
Because you focus on one thing, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's just the feet on the ground.
Yeah. I'm lost
Good
for
stuff.
words, Karsten. I'm lost for words, man.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, guys, are you seeing this? Yeah, this is how it works. This is how it works. This is conversational hypnosis,
And it
and
was just,
it's
I don't know, 5 minutes or so, right?
5 minutes,
So,
and yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So this is, and you feel can you feel the shift in you?
yeah.
And
I feel the
don't make
shift
it
in me.
up. I mean, you could make it up, but please don't. So let me
No,
know.
of course not.
Can you feel it?
Yeah,
What from my perspective, I see you more settled at the moment, a little bit more focused.
yeah.
Actually, I
My
can see
focus,
you
my
more.
eyes is straighter. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
and I could answer straight now because earlier I was like, "Fuck, where?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
So
Nice.
beyond everything that's going to change from now on for you in regards to where you procrastinated before,
Mm-hmm.
what's already one thing you're conscious of that's already changed when you think about preparing?
One thing that I'm conscious of right now is the fact that focus. I most of the time probably I did my procrastination because I wasn't actually there. I was thinking of a lot of things. Now
Yes.
with with the thing that we talked about in regards to planting my feet on the ground, because
Mhm.
that came from me. That came from me.
Mhm.
So since
Mhm.
that came from me, it's easier for me to adapt to that change and be conscious about planting my feet on the ground. And when I do that, it gives me a signal to my brain to focus one thing at a
Very
time.
good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Nice. Any
Thanks.
questions from you? Are you good?
I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine. Yeah.
Let me know
My
how it goes, right? I mean, that was just a 5 minute kind of example of it, but 5 minutes can have a profound effect on your life. So let me know if you need anything else, or let me know how it goes.
So
Looking
yeah,
forward to
to share with our friends and audience watching, this is a very very nice demonstration, and it's actually a good feeling to go under hypnotherapy and conversational hypnosis because it really gives you a sense of I'm relaxed, man. I mean, it's better earlier, you
I can
know?
see that. I can
Yeah,
see that.
yeah. So,
And I can feel it too. It's like,
yeah, thanks, Carson. I mean, that helped a lot. So, guys, if you have any questions, I mean, you could rewind the episode
video.
after this. It's recorded anyways. Joyson asking, still live? Yes, we're still live, man. If you have any questions, feel free to message here.
By the
So,
way, if you want, like anyone who's listening, if you want to kind of put your own problem into it and then just listen to my questions that I'm asking, well, they're specific to you now, but why not try them out and try what they do and kind of try and answer the question for yourself. Maybe you'll have some changes for your life as well.
yeah. So, yeah, Nikki said, Job said, Ken's problem, too much sex appeal. Man, that's your problem, man.
No, that's you. All of it.
Ren's problem, very hard waking up early. That's a problem.
Mm.
Is it
Oh
a
yeah,
problem?
I
Yeah.
used to be there. Is it a problem, right? I mean, it's for me, it's more a problem waking up late, actually.
Yeah, that's why it's always a thing that I always ask. Is it a problem? I mean, it could
Right.
be, or
That's
it couldn't
good
be.
question.
Yeah.
Well, again, I used to have that problem. I had this dilemma. I felt I didn't get enough sleep, but also I didn't get enough work done, and I had this resolution. I think it was on stage in a seminar that was actually filmed where I got this resolution, and ever since I've lost that problem of not waking up early enough or sleeping in too long or so. So I for a while after university, I think I was so freaked of about not being on time in a seminar and having so much pressure on school. I didn't like waking up early, but that has changed for me. So now it's more waking up with kind of the sense of, wow, the day is coming and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So in regards to Renz's problem about waking up, do you have I think it's kind of hard to just do conversational hypnosis with the comments.
All right.
Renz,
So
do you want to
so
join
that's
in, Renz? I could give the link to Renz. He could join in if he has a question for that. That's perfectly fine.
sure.
Okay, sure. So while I'm assisting with Renz joining in regards to change words, how let's talk about negative self-talk while we're
Hmm.
waiting for Renz. Let's talk about
Hmm.
negative self-talk. How do you change your internal language patterns? Your self-talk. How do you change that?
Right. Again, well, the negative self-talk has roots, so it's very difficult. It is also possible to kind of try and spot the talk, but it takes a long time, and it's very tedious to really spot what you're saying to yourself all the time. So it is getting to the root of where does it come from. And I think we talked about a little bit before the call that this kind of self-talk gets passed on from generations. So it's not that we come to this world as a completely clean slate. We rather come to this world with the learnings that our parents and grandparents have passed on to us. And then as they're teaching us when we were very little, we learn to adopt a certain sense of self-talk. So it is, again, getting to the unconscious root of stuff. And that's why, again, we use unconscious patterns, or we use language patterns to go to the unconscious mind and resolve those roots of the negative self-talk. And then it changes, and then usually it becomes obvious and it becomes conscious after the change has been done.
Mm. Is there a way to actually install like different languaging to one's subconscious mind?
Yeah, well, again, you can install it kind of more on a superficial conscious level, which is kind of the classical hypnosis is about finding the right words that kind of go deeper. But if you get behind, like, I would say every one of us has this particular pattern of negativity, like and it
Mm-hmm.
might be different for everyone, or there are certain personality types where it's a little bit different. And when you get behind what specific structure of self-talk you're doing, what specific personality structure you have, then it gets easier to resolve it and change it to something better. And then that's really when the work then it's so you get to the root first, you change the root, and then you teach the person to kind of develop a new language for themselves.
Mm. Yeah, because most of the time, there common negative self talk that we encounter is I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there are lots of stuff. I'm stupid. I can't talk to people. There are lots of
Well,
things that
and
go on
and you
repeat.
see, everything that you're already conscious of is already basically resolved because you're already conscious of it. So there's always, when you cannot resolve it, when you keep on saying the same thing, then there is something beyond it, or there's something below it that's not conscious yet. And that's where you need to get to. Does that make sense? So if you're aware that you tell yourself, oh, I'm useless or so, and you keep on saying that even though you're aware of it, then you need to get to a level below that, where that I'm useless actually comes from. There is a negative self-talk that's unconscious below that. Otherwise, you would have resolved it for yourself already. Because
Mm.
everything you consciously do, you could normally resolve unless there is a pattern below it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Renz is online right now. So Renz, are you there?
Hi.
Yeah, there.
Hi,
Okay.
Renz.
So yeah, hi Renz. Welcome to the show. Impromptu
Hello.
guesting, man. What's up? So
Thanks.
yeah. So what's your question again? So Karsten could assist you with that.
I want to know the methods through hypnotic languaging about waking up early
Mm,
because I have a hard time doing that.
right.
Given I'm doing the techniques with NLP, I think I
Yeah.
have some resistance to that. But I think you could help me with that.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you mean by waking up early? Give me a specific thing. What does that mean for you?
Waking up early is well, early in the Philippines is like 7 a.m. So I
Right.
want to achieve that. I want to achieve waking up at that time. So 7 a.m.
Okay. So you want to wake up every day at 7 a.m.? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? And currently,
Yes.
what time are you normally waking up?
9 a.m. or 10 a.m.
Okay, so it's like
I'm not
2 or
proud.
3 hours, right? Mhm.
Yeah.
So how would what would be different if you woke up at 7? How would your life be different?
Wow. Wow. uh, it would make things a lot better.
Right.
Yeah, I could do so much. Yeah.
You could do so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Like what?
Wow. Hmm. Can I have the same? I have the same thoughts as you. Wow. I'm stunned right now. Wait.
Right? You're
Yeah,
stunned. Yeah.
I am.
How's that feel? How's your body feeling as you're
I never
stunned?
really asked that.
Right? You never really
Well,
asked.
yeah, I never have. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I I have that stigma within me that being a practitioner, I could ask that myself anytime, but I didn't. So
Yeah, you could,
I
right?
feel
If you're
better.
conscious, but now you've become conscious of it, that it's something you could ask yourself. So, and you notice when you ask
Mm.
yourself that, wow, you're stunned for a little bit, right? So, as you're being stunned, I would like you to kind of feel in your heart area. What's the feeling in your heart area like right now?
So light. I could
It's
do
light, huh?
wonders right now. Yeah.
Right. It is light.
Yeah.
Right. So really focus on that. And as you're feeling light in your heart area, is it moving upwards, the lightness moving upwards or downwards?
It's moving upwards and it's spreading.
It's
Actually.
spreading, isn't it? Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? So just let it spread throughout your body until it kind of reaches your mind.
Mm.
And something will shift, but I don't want it to shift too quickly, only to the degree that it feels really good. And some answer will come to you, by the way. But don't try and make it happen. Don't try and answer it too quickly. It will happen anyway. Just really enjoy the process of the lightness spreading. And it could spread upward and downward at the same time. There you go. Well, there's something happening now.
Yeah.
What's that?
There is.
You're doing
I
great.
think I forgot the problem.
So how are you feeling at the moment?
It feels amazing.
Right.
I'm
So
like
as
a
you,
new person. Somehow a new
yeah, so
person.
say again.
I'm like a new person.
Like a new person. Huh. What kind of a person is that?
I going through my thought processes. I think I'm prioritizing sleep over everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there are so many things, so much better things to do than to sleep.
Yeah. Like what?
Like this one, attending webinars. Yeah.
Like this one, right? So
Yeah.
how does it feel to be attending webinars like this one?
Mm. I feel like I could absorb a lot more.
You could absorb a lot more. Yeah, I agree. And that's like absorbing a lot more is like what?
It's a very fulfilling process. For
Can you say that again?
it's a very fulfilling process.
It's a fulfilling process. What kind of? That's good. You're doing great. It is fulfilling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what kind of fulfilling is that?
Ah, I I want to do a lot more things as in this moment rather than a few minutes ago that I would
Right.
list everything down and then do it another time. And then since I could do it another time, I will postpone it again until I could do it near the deadline. Now I think I could do, yeah, I could meet the deadlines sooner.
Right. Right. So when you know this and when you feel like this, when or let's put it that way, what's the first thing that comes to mind that you will automatically do differently in regards to getting up early? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think I would cook food.
You would go?
I would cook food, cook my own breakfast.
Oh, you would cook your own breakfast. I think that's wonderful. Yes. That's great. How would that feel, cooking your own breakfast?
I think I'm going to be proud of that.
You would be proud of that, right? So are you telling me that you could be proud of yourself waking up early?
Oh, wow, yes. Yes.
I would agree, right?
Very much.
Yeah, yeah. So, so when you're proud of yourself waking up early, that's right. What time do you usually go to bed?
Oh, many times I go to bed at 12 midnight or 1 a.m.
All right, so that's rather late, or is that,
yeah.
That's okay. So how would you feel different about going to bed or when you feel proud of yourself?
I think it's the same. I think I can wake up early now.
Right, so you can get up, you can go to bed at the same time, right? So the question is,
wake up early.
How do you feel differently when you're proud of yourself going to bed at that time?
I think I don't need sleep anymore.
Oh, well. Wow. Still good, but all right. Well, so how are you doing right now?
Yeah.
Renz?
I'm feeling proud. Yeah, I'm enjoying this very much.
You enjoyed it? Thank you. I enjoyed it too. Thanks for coming up. Do you feel good about this for now?
Yes, very, very.
Nice. Any other questions for me right now or anything else?
I just asked that question because it's personal, it's for me. And then two, because I'm a psychology student right now. So when people heard about me being an NLP practitioner, they ask questions like that to me. So they're biologically inclined. So it's about sleep, and I cannot really suggest anything about that more than the habits. So I really wanted to know about this firsthand. So thank you, Ken, for adding me.
Well, thank you,
Karsten.
Personal as well. And one thing I would like you to know is, I mean, sleep is something that's very holistic. I mean, you cannot say that everyone needs the same amount of sleep, and for different phases in life, you need different amounts of sleep. But there's something also to say about the depth of sleep. So if you sleep deeper, you probably don't need to sleep as long. There's something that Arnold Schwarzenegger said, and he said, if you sleep faster, so you get more done. Sleep faster. Well, it's kind of a joke, but at the same time, there is some truth to it. You can sleep. Well, when you're clear, when you're proud of yourself, when you're clear and you're going to bed with a clear mind, you will sleep deeper. You will resolve stuff in your dreams. So when you wake up proud and full of energy. That means the day goes better. That means when you go to bed, you sleep better again. So over a period of time, you will probably need not as much sleep. I would still recommend sleeping a certain amount of time, but you will get to know the balance. But most of us are kind of out of balance. I, for sometimes, slept too little, and then I slept too much. And now it's kind of balanced out where sometimes I wake up, sometimes I wake up a little stressed, but most days I wake up pretty full of energy and ready to go for the day, right? And finding that balance, and hypnotherapy, NLP can also help with that. So people sleep better, they reduce their stress, they start feeling proud of themselves. These are all very important factors that have to do with sleeping, and that will have an impact on your sleep, rather. All right. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, Reds. Hope that helps a lot, pare.
Yeah. Thank you. Super. Thank you.
As you were watching earlier, I mean, going through the process, I was just, I was not. I could say I was stunned. My mind was processing a lot of stuff, and it's really after the process. How do you feel now?
Yeah.
Right?
I think I don't need sleep.
You don't need sleep. That's super nice, man. That's super nice. Well, okay, pare. Thanks so much. I'll go to the next question. Karsten, we have a question here before we'll be ending in a bit.
Yeah, and Renz, if you want to let me know, write me an email how you're doing. All right, I'm always happy to hear from people that I work with. So thanks.
Yeah, hypnoticintent.com. Check it out. Yeah, that's Karsten's website. So we have a question, Karsten, from Joyson. Joyson, how would you overcome negative self-talk if you are currently in a very not so good situation, or currently under pressure to make a decision?
Under pressure to make a decision, that's great. So I love that question. I mean, when we're under pressure, when we try to make a decision, then a lot of negative self-talk comes up. It's actually pointing to an underlying problem where that negative self-talk comes up to show you where the actual problem is regarding the decision. So one thing to say is, if it seems like a big decision, even the biggest decisions that we think we might make in life are actually not as important as the smaller decisions. That's one thing to know. So if you feel like there's a big decision you're making, it might seem really big at the moment, but on the long term of things, it's probably just one decision among others. So look at, what are you deciding? What smaller things are you deciding? And what small decisions can you make? So when we have this thing in front of us that seems like, this is what I want and this is what I want, but I can't have both, or this is what I don't want, I don't want that either, but I have to decide either of it, don't make a decision. So there's one thing that Viktor Frankl, a famous psychiatrist, said, that if you can't make a decision, then don't make it. Life will make the decision for you anyway. Now we're starting to become afraid of what kind of decision life will throw at us if we're not making a decision constantly. But if you're scared to make a decision anyway, well, then just don't make it. Life will make it for you anyway. And then learn to cope with the fear of what's going to happen, and knowing that whatever is going to happen will be exactly the thing that you need to learn from to make the next step and the next step and the next step. So life isn't over. This is not going to be the last decision in your life, right? So notice the negative self-talk. And I don't know exactly what you're telling yourself, but it's probably something about, this is not going to work out, or it's either this or that, or if I don't make the right decision, then my life will be over. Or if I make this decision, then my life will be not good. And if I make that decision the other way around, it will also be not good. Know that any talk, anything you tell yourself about those decisions is not true. It's just a story that's made up. The reality is what life will show you, and life is there to show you something that's good for you. Life is there to teach you something about yourself. So regarding this decision, whatever comes up, whatever decision you have to make, take it as a lesson that you can learn from. Take it as something that life has given you to grow from, to grow your personality from. And if you see it that way, the decision might not go away right away. And there might still be the negative self-talk going on for a little while, but there's something beyond that that's bigger than that, that's much more healthy than that, and that you can grow from. And then you will, at one point, you will look back at the decision and say, well, that was nothing. That was not a big decision. You will come to that point. So if you start at that end point where you've already got this decision behind you and it's already not a problem anymore, ask yourself, how will you be feeling when you're at that point, when that's kind of in the past and you've gone well beyond it, and you don't have to know exactly where your life will take you, but what if that's beyond you and it's not a problem anymore? Ask yourself how you're feeling when you've made that, when you're at that point. And when you know how you're feeling, then you're probably much calmer, or you're a little bit more maybe happy, whatever the feeling is. And then see what the self-talk is doing. It's probably lessened, and see what you can learn from that. See what you can learn, looking back, what you can learn from this difficulty of trying to make the decision. So I think it's something that we all can learn, getting beyond the difficulty of making big decisions, because really there are no big decisions as there are no small decisions. All decisions are just decisions. There's nothing bigger or smaller. It just seems that way because it's the story we're telling ourselves about the decision. Really what you're deciding in every moment. You're making 10 different decisions and you're not even conscious about it. But those are really important decisions, right? So what you consciously think about as a big decision is not. So any negative self-talk about it, you can just take as, that's just a story, let it go. It's not a very true story. There might be a little bit of truth to it, but probably most of it is made up, and life is probably going to go down a different path anyway. You don't know where it's going to lead you. Even if you're very sure about something, in 5-10 years, you'll be at a completely different point. I mean, have you been in a situation where you've made this really great decision and you're like, well, this was a great decision. Now I have a good life. Now everything is perfect. Probably we've all been there where life is just flowing and life is just good. But then 5 years from that, it's just in the past, like, yeah, that was good back then, but now there are other decisions, and now there are more important things than back then, right? So whatever you think is so big, even if it's very good or very bad, in the next 5 years, something will probably happen that will make that thing a small thing. But what you can take away from it is learn to make, to deal with life in a more healthy way, in a more holistic way, and be kind to yourself at the same time. So that's my advice for that. Hope that's helpful.
Yeah, Joyson, hope that helps. I hope that helps with your question. Yeah, one thing that's really helpful also is you becoming aware of it. Once you're aware of it, you could do something about it.
Yeah, take the decision that you're making as a point where life is teaching you something about yourself, and then learn about yourself. Learn to get to know you better. Learn to be kind to yourself, and learn that you can grow beyond anything you thought you were. You're more than that.
Okay, hope that helps, bro. So yeah, Carson, before we end our session for today, let's talk about the upcoming CHPH. I mean, this is scheduled June 2020, next year. And how long is it? How long is it for this CHPH conversation?
So it's a six-day course, and CHPH means there is a certification you can take. You don't have to take it, but I recommend it. So you get a big certificate to become a conversational hypnotherapist. It's a 6-day course, very fun and intensive course, as you know. You've been there, and some of the listeners have. Where you learn everything about not just hypnosis, but also conversational hypnosis, how to use it, apply it for other people, and also apply those principles to yourself. It's a very transformational course where you grow yourself as a person, where you learn how to also deal with decision making, I think in a new way, because you see life in a little bit different way, and you see the language that you use for yourself in a different way. So I'm teaching that, and as a 6-day course, I'm coming to Manila to teach that. Looking forward to reconnecting and to being there. And if you'd like to join, leave me a message or with Ken, he can connect us, or Jason, who's the producer,
main organizer, yeah. The head organizer, yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions, guys, I mean, this has been a very, very fun and informative session for all of us. Thank you, Karsten. Super appreciate you joining for this session today.
It's a lot of fun, Ken. And I like that we did some practical work. I always like working with people directly. So thank you for the chance.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, Renz is messaging me right now. He said, so what's this? He had a hard time with the sample, but he really feels good right now. He really says, thanks to you. Thanks. It's been an awesome therapy session. It was really quick, man. I mean, it's really good. The same thing he was explaining to me over chat, that the same thing happened to him. Because at first he was watching what we did earlier, and he was probably under the impression that I was just, thinking a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was just stuck. But yeah, it's not. It's really a good experience to go under hypnosis, because you want to help yourself. So if you want to help yourself, of course, you go to the process. So yeah. So Carson, hope to see you soon. If ever, guys, you're interested to join, Jason Principe has already posted the link for the event for next year. There will only be limited seats. So if you're interested, message me or message our page, or you could message Karsten through hypnoticintent.com, and we'll keep in touch. So Karsten, thank you so much. I mean, you have a meeting in a bit, so I will have to say goodbye to our friends watching.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, for listening, and hope to see you in Manila or somewhere in the world at some point. And I'll definitely see you again. Looking forward to it.
Have a great night there, Karsten. Thank you guys so much. See you on the next episode of Inside the Mind of. My name is 𝐿𝐵 Sumera, and these are my thoughts. Have a great night, guys. Bye, Karsten.
Bye.